is an admonition that if sell your possessions and buy a sword. Every man should have a sword. These are things that the Bible often, churches just all of a sudden get really mushy and ignorant and stupid over because they want to sit into this la-la land. Well, God will protect us. And I'm going to get into that here with the last few minutes. What's their call line, folks? 260-356-2611. Because, yes, He will protect us. But are you tempting Him? Are you pushing the Most High to protect you, to tempting Him to do things when He's already told you to protect yourself, to arm yourself? One of the questions asked by a lot of believers is, doesn't having a gun imply a lack of trust of God, that God will take care of us? And you know what? Indeed, God will take care of us. He has told us that He will, if those who love Him and keep His commandments, in John 14:15. And so He's telling us, if you love Me, keep My commandments. So it's a catch-22. All the ones sitting out there, I don't have to do anything, God will protect me. And the Lord is saying, well, if you love Me, keep My commandments. And what's His commandments? His commandments are telling you to protect yourself, to defend your life. If killing somebody else is murder, then, as we looked at before in the biblical law of self-defense, to fail to protect yourself is also wrong. Those who trust God and who work for a living know that 1 Timothy 5:8 tells us, but if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. For a man not to work yet expect to eat because he was trusting God would actually be to defy God. It's the same logic of those who are saying, well, I'm not going to work. I don't have to work. The Lord will feed me. The Lord will protect me. The Lord will take care of me. When He tells you to work with your hands, to gain an income so that you can buy food. It's that catch-22. You want to have all the faith in the world and God to excuse your laziness. He's telling you, if you love Me, keep My commandments. There's no excuse for ignoring what He tells us to do. And then turning around and trying to sound like you're some real pious, religious individual because you're just going to trust the Lord. And He's telling you what to do. And you're ignoring Him. King David wrote in Psalms 46:1 that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. And this didn't conflict with praising the same God, where he says in Psalms 144:1, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. The doctrine of Scripture is that we prepare and work, but we trust the outcome to God. It is also David who prophesied that in the last days the Lord's people would do exploits. In other words, they are fighting and resisting the tyranny of government rule. This does not sound like we are to be as sheep led to the slaughter. If we are to obey God, then we are to make adequate provisions for our self-defense as we are instructed in the Bible. For a man to refuse to provide adequately for his own family's defense would be to defy God. There are many who claim, I don't need to arm myself, God will protect me. When Satan was tempting Jesus in the wilderness, he challenged Jesus to throw himself off the top of the temple. Satan reasoned that God's angels would protect him. And Jesus responded, it is written again, you shall not tempt the Lord your God, in Matthew 4:7. It may seem pious, I'll say it again, if one is trusting in God for protection, and we must protect Him, trust in Him for our protection, but it's also tempting God if we do not take the commands that He has laid out for us for our own defense. This point is reflected in the legal doctrine of the United States. Repeatedly, courts have held the government has no responsibility to provide individual security for anyone. There is no constitutional right to be protected by the state against being murdered, folks. And that's how the government has always been, and why Yahweh put personal self-defense of oneself and their families into their own hands. Peter carried a sword, a weapon of self-defense, attempted to use it to save the Lord from the Roman soldiers, but the Lord didn't need Peter defending him, and that's why He stopped Peter. So prophecy could be fulfilled, and the Lord could be taken on to His death. Some of you might say that the police protect the citizens, but this whole theory is flawed. First of all, the right of a community to protect itself through community defense is founded on the same moral ground as the right of individual defense. What if the police themselves become the aggressors of a tyrannical government and don't seek to help you but to hurt you. We haven't seen that yet in America, but we're going to. It's coming. Also, even without what is coming ahead and looking at daily matters we face now, the police are simply unable to protect us at all times. Every individual murder in this country has proven the limitations of community self-defense. Community defense is good, but it can never replace individual self-defense, the responsibility of individuals to defend themselves, to arm themselves. If you have a murderer or a thief breaking into your home at night, you know that if you call the police, they're most likely not going to get there in time to save you. And you can take things into your own hands at that point. Community self-defense, our local police departments, is something there to protect the whole community. But as this states, you can't replace that with your own responsibility as an individual to protect yourself. And I know a lot of people say, well, what can we do about the coming persecution because there's going to be, armies coming after us, And that's true. What the Lord said, He said to arm and defend yourselves, leave the outcome to Him. Leave the outcome to Him. And if these armies and these New World Order freaks and these Satan freaks know that the Lord's people are armed, they're going to think twice about coming to your home. They're going to think twice. And a lot of this in the last days of groups of people, gathering together in groups to defend each other. And if you don't have any arms, how are you going to contribute to the self-defense of that group? You can't even protect yourself. You can't even protect your own children or anything else from harm. And that's what you need to think about, folks, because these things are coming. Our country is no longer a country run under a Constitution of America. It's being run by the Patriot Acts. And with the National ID Act card now on its way, and whenever they say something that's, we've got till 2008, they're going to start implementing it sooner than you could realize. I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing this National ID card to start being enforced right away. 2008's a pipe dream. We don't have that much time. Okay, we can. If you look at it as in Armageddon, starting in 2009, because the last half of the tribulation period definitely will be towards the end of 2009, 2010. And so you can back up time from there as to events go. If you're one of these 7-year people, believes the tribulation period is going to be 7 years long, you don't have a lot of time. The mark of the beast would have to be implemented. The mid-tribulation period would have to be somewhere in 2009, somewhere in 2008, and that would be mid-trib. So if you back up 3 years, the tribulation period would have to be starting in 2005 at the latest. At the latest. Maybe that's why we're seeing Matria with his arrival, his TV ads hitting the airwaves now. I haven't yet seen one myself, but they're coming, folks. And I'm going to finish up this information the second hour of the show. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll be back. Listener call-in line 260-356-2611. You can also contact me at SherryTalkRadio@yahoo.com. You can send me a Yahoo instant message at SherryTalkRadio. Also, if you have Yahoo Messenger. We're going to take about a 5-minute break. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes, folks, for the second hour of the show.
This is the reality